Hey there, Wolfpack fans. It's me again, Kenton Gibbs, bringing you another episode of Locked On Wolfpack. I'm excited to be here today, even though we didn't get the result that we wanted, because I think that there are plenty of silver linings out of this ACC tournament. And we got my man, Brett Freelander. His first love is on the diamond, and we're going to give him a chance to cover it today. How you doing, Brett?
I'm doing good. It's a holiday weekend. The pool is open. You know, we're doing the baseball postseason, so it's all good.
Absolutely. Well, we got a lot of baseball postseason to talk about because when I talked with Alex Sawyer just a few days ago, he talked about how the Wolfpack were on a bubble and it was unsure about whether or not they were going to get in. But it seems like what they've done in this tournament, they're firmly in. So we'll talk about all that and more on today's episode of Locked On Wolfpack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
So, Brett, I think that it was impressive for this team to, whether or not we want to realize and accept it, or whether or not it's, nobody ever wants to be the Buffalo Bills losing 4 Super Bowls in a row. But this is back-to-back ACC championship game appearances. What prompted that to happen during this tournament? And is this a thing that you're like, you know what? Even though we have not gotten one, this is still something we can hang our hat on?
Well, first of all, I think this speaks to the ability of Elliott Avent and his staff and his players to basically understand that the postseason is really a new season. You know, they got swept by Wake Forest in the last weekend of the regular season, and everything looked bleak. Like you said, Alex was talking about how they might not even get into the tournament, but they have an innate ability to separate the regular season from the postseason. They started over, they started fresh, and now they're going to be a 2 seed from all I can tell. And they did it by getting pitching. Now today they ran out of pitching, and I've got some thoughts about how that was handled too, by the way, as we move forward. But listen, they're going to hit. They're going to score runs. They have all year. It's going to come down to the pitching and, in most cases, the bullpen. And they did that until today in this tournament, winning those first 3 games and getting to the championship game. So I think they're well positioned, especially if you go by the projections, and obviously they don't know what the committee's going to do. But I've seen a lot of projections that has NC State as the number 2 seed in a region in Greenville with East Carolina as the 1 seed. If that's the case, that's a region the Wolfpack can absolutely win and move on to a super regional and perhaps make another run here to Omaha.
That everybody was saying we got to the championship last year and we looked bad and we found a way. We found a way to get on Omaha. But this team is a little different. This team is a little younger. And honestly, the expectations weren't the same. At no point in time during the season, the expectations weren't that this team was going to be good as last year's. After what we saw during the regular season, nobody was saying, hey, pencil the pack in for an ACC championship run. This is what we're going to see. But as I always say, nobody circles the wagons like old Elliott Avent.
But, it's also a young team, but it's not that young a team because not only do you have JT Jarrett and Devontae Brown, who are back from last year's team, but, Gino Groover is a experienced Division I player. Dominic Paoli is as well, as is Josh Hood. These guys have been through it before. It's not like, obviously Jacob Cozart, and you've got a couple of true freshmen out there, but these guys have been through this before. And I think that that's going to help, especially again, if they get pitching. And, that's what concerns me in a series. If you don't go through the winner's bracket, if you have to go through the loser's bracket, you're going to, be in a situation where you might run out of pitching. But great starts from Licker, from Willem, first from Willardson. Then you can piece together because, boy, oh boy, Chris Villman really looked awesome today, didn't he?
Yeah. And you know what? I'll say this. The struggles that we saw today, the things that we saw today, I don't really know how much more you could ask of our pitching staff than what we saw to some degree. I don't know how much more you can ask of these guys when, I mean, we're down the ace. Like everybody was expecting Highfield to be the Friday night starter, get the series cracking right. You're going to get out here, get us one, and then we'll move to
and that's the thing, because you got Kanan Silver, who has come in and really become a very good starting pitcher. And he had a great game here in the I believe it was the Pitt game that he pitched. But now what that does is it weakens the bullpen a little bit, because you move that guy out, and that leaves you one less guy, out there in the bullpen to come in and pitch those middle innings to get to Villeman.
Yeah, it's again, it's a tough scenario all the way around, but the Wolfpack have managed all year. They found ways to be relevant, because even going into that last series of the season, they were in position to, if they swept instead of getting swept, they were going to be the 3 seed in this thing. So, I mean, it's not a situation where this was just like, oh man, like this is a terrible team. Again, you're right. They do have more experience than maybe I gave them credit for, but this team overall, the expectation last year's media day was all about Omaha, Omaha, Omaha. That was, they were yelling Omaha more than Peyton Manning got the line of scrimmage. But this year's team, it was about, hey, we got to get better every day, do the little things right, which I think was the right tone, because if you see what was this team's undoing by and large, yes, losing Highfield, not having great pitching at times was a problem. But more so than the pitching, the fielding. Watching the errors occur in today's game, these were things that we saw all year. This isn't a new thing.
I mean, the second inning rally that UNC broke the game open with, scored those 6 runs. It started with an error by Josh Hood. And then even though JT Jarrett didn't get charged with an error, it was a bad hop. That was, potential double play ball if he plays it well. And, and you get out of that inning and what's his name? The kid who hit the 2 home runs for Honeycutt doesn't even come to bat in that inning. So, yeah, I mean, defensively, pitching and defense, I mean, it's an age-old equation. It's, you can hit all you like, but if you can't stop them, you got to score a lot of runs to outscore people.
Yeah, it was a real tough game, and again, there's a lot to be concerned about out of that game. But again, it goes back to what we discussed before in talking about this baseball team, because the bats are what they are, and because we really do have some good pitching at times, we can beat anybody, but because we have the errors, because we have the errors and because we don't have a great bullpen, we can lose to anybody. And it really, anybody who says that this game doesn't hurt is a liar for a couple of reasons. Number one, the drought looked like it was gonna be over.
You just got the feeling that this was going to be it. It was finally going to happen. This was going to be, it wasn't going to be vindication, but it was at least going to be something to solve the wounds of last year in Omaha. They were at least going to get a trophy to bring home, and then this happened, right?
Yeah. Who was it that made the song "This Is It"? Help me out. Kenny Loggins. It was Kenny Loggins.
Okay. Yeah. There's also oh shoot, David Lee Roth. Quick, Van Halen song. It was also a Van Halen song.
There we go. This is it is a common combination of words, but the Kenny Loggins one, he said, "You waiting on the sign, your miracle. Here's your shot. Your back's again in the corner. This is it." But with that being said, I think that what Elliot Avon is building here, he's kind, and I hate to say that he's doing it in a Westmore way, because he's been here a lot longer than Westmore, but he's doing it in a way that the things that are happening are going to bode well for recruiting. When you can trot out a Tommy White and say, hey, you'll get to play with that guy for 2 years. You need run support? You're a pitcher and you need run support? Baby, we got the freshman all-time home run king to give you all the run support you need.
And it's not just freshmen out there. The transfer portal is a game changer, and all it takes is a couple of arms that you can bring in that are experienced, and all of a sudden you are right there again. So yeah, it's and not only that, but you're not going to have the amount of guys leaving that you did last year. So yeah, next year should be good. But you know what? Let's not talk about next year, because there's still, I mean, this thing is as they proved last year, it's a new season, and they looked good until today. And there's so many more positives than this negative.
And I'll tell you what, with that being said, I'm betting that the Wolfpack aren't one and done in the tournament either. I don't think that they're going to lose one, get in the losers pool, lose another, and be
Two
out.
and barbecue, baby.
Exactly. 2 and barbecue. I don't think they're going to be 2 and barbecue, even though a lot of us are going to be eating some good barbecue tomorrow for Memorial's Day. But I'm just saying, I think that this team's got some more left in them. And if you're a bettor, make sure you go to betonline.net. BetOnline is your place for all the betting needs that you have. Find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, and more, including this year's NBA playoffs and Major League Baseball scores and fights, and even next season's NFL futures. Head to the website today to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, Brett, you were talking about the fact that this season ain't over. Yeah, I mean, you can't look ahead. You can't jump ahead and say, well, how's this going to play out next season? Because this season, now, Brett, we've seen this happen already, right? The Wolfpack were the lowest seeded team in their pool and somehow find their way in the championship game today. With that being said, do you think that the Wolfpack have a chance to make a splash in the NCAA tournament?
First, let me say the fact that they were the lowest seed in their pool is really very deceiving, because if you looked at the ACC standings, they were extremely tight. And like you said, if they would have swept Wake Forest instead of getting swept, they would have been the 3 overall seed. So, it sounds bad, but it's not as bad as it was. So given that fact, it's a team that's got a lot of talent. And yes, if the Wolfpack gets in the right regional draw, and I think a lot really depends on who they play, who they're the 2 seed too. I think that they have the potential to win a region and get back to a super regional.
Okay. All right. Now let me ask you this. With what we've seen from this Wolfpack team all year, do you think that is there enough in the tank for Willetson? Is there enough in the tank for the guys? Is there enough to get them over the hump and get them what they need to get some wins?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm not as concerned about Logan Whitaker and Williman and Willetson as I am Chris Villeman.
Mm-hmm.
Today, he pitched 5 innings and looked great, but he threw a lot of pitches. And now you're going to come back on Friday. He's got to turn right around. And obviously, you've got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But, I mean, did Elliott leave him in there too long in a game that was at one point 9-1 or 9-3 until the last couple of batters? So I'm afraid that he may have burned Villeman out a little bit, but who knows? I mean, these guys this time of year, you're going on adrenaline, but I think he can get 6-7 innings out of those top two starters, and then Silver coming in a third game. If you could stay in the winner's bracket, and I think that's key, because if the Wolfpack ends up having to come through the loser's bracket and play that extra game or 2, I think it's going to be extremely difficult. But if they can win that first game and then knock off the 1 seed in that second game, I really like their chances.
This team is so interesting. This team is so perplexing, because while they were right there in position,
it's NC State. Why wouldn't it be perplexing?
Exactly. It's never going to be straight ahead. It's never going to be straight ahead unless it's like, oh man, we're straight ahead bad. But other than that, we've got a few sports where we're going to dominate and be good. But when you're talking about basketball, men's basketball, football, and baseball, you're right. It's always going to be perplexing. It's always going to be complex. So with that being said, let me ask you this, okay? In terms of complexity and all these moving pieces of what's going on. It's 30 years now, Brett. How old is your oldest child?
My oldest child is 36.
36. So Last time NC State won one of these things now, your oldest child was learning the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of this thing.
Yep.
Now,
1992.
Who does it? Who breaks it? Who breaks the streak here? Who goes out and gets us that first ACC championship in 30 years?
I'll give you a hint. He sounded the hurricane siren for the third period of last Game 5 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. As Coach Dave Doran and Devin Leary and the Wolfpack football team. I think this is the year to get it done. Even though they have to play Clemson at Clemson, I think the moon and the stars are aligned. It's got to happen sometime. I'm sorry. Even the Chicago Cubs and the Boston Red Sox won World Series championships. Now it took 100 years, so we still have 70 more years. But I don't think it's going to take that long for NC State. I just think you can see the momentum coming. The football team has put together 2 really good seasons in a row. The women's basketball team has shown that it can be done. And now the baseball team is gotten to Omaha last year, has been to the ACC championship game 2 years in a row. I just think the momentum is just too strong, and eventually somebody's going to break through. And I think once somebody breaks through, I think others will too.
In the words of Kirk Franklin, he said melodies from heaven, but I'm going to say ACC championships from heaven. Rain down on Raleigh. Rain down. Okay, we need it. We need it. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you this, okay? Dave Dorn is the reason that I came to North Carolina. He's the reason I'm in the great state of North Carolina, and he's the reason that I wanted to play for NC State and win championships here. If he's the guy and he does it this year, or I don't care really which year he does it, if Dave Dorn does it, if he wins a ACC championship here, mark my words on it. There's a bounty on one of my children's names here. One of my children will have the middle name David. One of them will get the middle name David. If Dave Dorn quit. So Coach D, I know last time I was at a press conference, he stopped me and said, Gibbs, how you doing, man? It's been a while, all that good stuff. I saw him at the state championship when Carter Gibbs was there. Coach Dorn, I know that you're a listener to this show. You know you're a friend of the pod, baby. If you win us one, we gonna see a little one walking around with your name just because of this. Because it's been, in the words of Sam Cooke, it's been a long time coming. It's been a long time coming. But I know change gonna come, and we gonna get us an ACC championship. Westmore showed it could be done. And speaking of Westmore, he was at the game today. And when he was spotted on the concourse. So
was Icky, by the way.
Yeah, Icky was there as well. And the fans asked, are they going to get it done today, Coach Moore? He said, I hope so. We need this. And he was right. It's Wolfpack Nation is a long-suffering, very loyal fan base. And I tell every recruit that I have on the show, or every recruit or every player that I see, this fan base is loyal to a fault. They will love you regardless of what's going on. They will cheer for you regardless of what's going on, how good, how bad. But, man, this time.
You know what the most frustrating thing about today's game was? Because it got off to such a great start. Devontae leads off the game with a double. 2 batters later, they get him in. They got 2 runners on and 1 out, and they've already scored a run, and then the double play, and the kid made a really nice play right over the bag. I mean, that thing should have gotten into center field for an RBI single, and the double play, and then the 2-run homer in the bottom of the inning, and all of a sudden you can just kind of feel it get deflated. It was,
But you know what, though? And this is what I'm going to say about that. That's championship play.
Yep.
That's championship play. When you get to the conference championship game, when you get to a national championship game, you have to expect your opponent's going to do something magical. You've got to be more magical, or you've got to be more consistent. You've got to stump out. Oh, he had a good play? Good. When y'all come back, we're going to put you right back in that position.
And we're going to have bases loaded. The first batter, they made an error. Yeah.
Exactly. Y'all made a great play. Good. Our guy's going 3 up, 3 down. That's what you got to do in these situations, because it's championship baseball. Yep. You're not going to see, you know what I mean? You're not going to see a game where nobody does anything spectacular, or nobody does anything that you're like, that at worst is on the verge of being on the ESPN top 10. It's the nature of the beast. So, these, again, NC State fans, loyal to a fault, wonderful fan base, Wolfpack Nation. We deserve it. You heard it here first from Brett Friedlander. Coach Dorn is going to do it. He's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy to do it. I don't care what coach does it. I don't care if it. And you know what? I retract my previous statement. It's not just Dave Dorn. Whichever coach does it, whichever coach gets us a conference or national championship out of baseball, football, and men's basketball, hey, one of them going to have your name. All right? So if it's Kevin, the fun fact, my brother and my father both named Kevin. If it's Elliot, hey, that's
Elliot's good for both a boy and a girl. So
there you go. You know what I mean? Whichever coach happens to win it, you know what I mean? Whoever's first, they're gonna get it done. We got to pay some bills, but we'll be right back, folks. All right, so Brett, we're about to land this thing, but so we talked about what happened in this what happened in the ACC championship game. We talked about how long the curse has been and what the situation is as far as who we expect to break the championship streak and all that. But I'm gonna ask you one more question, all right? And I want you to really dig in your bag here, really get deep in this one. What was the number one movie in America the year that the Wolfpack won their last championship in any of these?
Wow, 1992. Let's see. Wow, that's a good one. You got me on that one. What was it?
It was Batman Returns with Michael Keaton.
I should have gone for something that I was thinking Star Wars, but I mean that's earlier than that. But yeah, I mean you can't go wrong by picking a Marvel or a DC Comics because there's so many of them out there.
I was thinking the same thing. All right, I'll give you a double or nothing. What was the number 2 movie? This one is not superhero related. It was not superhero related, so I'll give you that.
Good. I was busy trying to raise a kindergarten.
That's fair. That's fair. The number 2 movie.
So the only thing I can tell you is Land Before Time. So I don't know.
the next one in line was Lethal Weapon 2.
Okay.
It has been much too long. This thing has to happen for somebody. And I'll tell you what, this baseball team is, all year they've been up, they've been down, they've won some series. Right when you count them out and you're like, oh, well, this is kind of a throwaway year. They win a couple series straight. And then right when you're like, they've got momentum, we mess around and lose to a team where we mess around and get scratched by swept by Wake Forest in one of the most important series of the season. So this baseball team has been up and down. But what I do know is as Wolfpackers, we're going to root for them regardless. We're going to hope against hope. We're going to believe every single time that we're going to get this job done. So we're going to ride with this team throughout the NCAA tournament, and hopefully they can get us back to Omaha. And this time, I don't think the vaccines will be a problem. This time, I highly doubt that COVID issues will come up again. If it happens again at this point, they say the NC State folks are black helicopter people. We would have great reason to be at this point. Brett,
who knows? Maybe this year the Vanderbilt whistle guy will get it.
Exactly. Brett, tell the people where they can find your work, man.
At BFried ACC, that's BFRIED ACC, or nsjonline.com/sports.
All righty, Wolfpack Nation, thank you all so very much for coming out. I appreciate you every single time. Y'all make this show what it is. And like I said, the change got to come eventually. We got to get one of these things eventually, all right? Peace and love, y'all. And as always, go Pack.
You are Locked On Wolfpack, your daily podcast on the NC State Wolfpack, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.